All right. I'm excited to share with you today. I want to walk you through some stuff that we've been working very hard on here inside the agency, and that is how do we incorporate AI into our charter businesses going forward in 2026. Um, AI has definitely been a buzzword, but I'm here to tell you that just it's more than a buzzword. It's something that is not going away. And I was one of those guys that felt like, I had been running our agency for almost 20 years without it, didn't need it. And I was actually pretty stubborn about it in the beginning. But I'm going to walk you through kind of my journey today and how you can use those same things to apply to what you're doing. Because the reality is that even just in the short, year that we've really kind of put both feet into this to get this ready to go, AI usage and adoption is skyrocketing, and the genie's not going back in the bottle anytime soon, as you can see. So, and if statistics like this don't do anything to you, well, this will. Like if you start looking and doing a search for like something like this, charter fishing in Myrtle Beach, well, the very first thing that pops up in Google is the AI overview. And fortunately, you can see it's one of our clients over there that is there, and it's based on a lot of really good hardcore SEO work to the site over the years. But the reality is that this has changed fast, because this has come in. We're even seeing some markets where these results look even different, where the AI options include family-friendly trips and offshore trips and shark fishing trips and all that sort of stuff. So the landscape is changing very fast. So whatever you think is happening here is happening at lightning speed, in terms of how we're seeing things go. And if you're like me, you're like, God, I really don't need another thing to do with. It's the reality is it's AI. Comes across as being this magic pill is going to solve all of our problems, and that the minute you start fooling with it, you find out it's not. It's not always super easy to use, and it's not always as easy to do things as you thought maybe it was going to be. So it's just really not magical, and you need some help with it. So we're going to clear some of that up. So first, I want to just tell you what we're not going to do today. So we're not going to be talking about how to make funny graphics about, like, in this case, this is, a client sent this over. It's pretty funny. I asked him if he was going to introduce tuna riding or shallow water tuna fishing to his site. He said no, but this is just sort of experimenting with it. And, or another client out in the Northwest who's, like having some fun riding an orca, or like in this case, taking the orcas to outer space while they're eating salmon, or in this case, his own version of shallow water orca and salmon trips, right? So this kind of stuff is fun to play with, and I'm glad to see clients doing this. So this is not to make fun of them. It's just to show you that this is not what we're doing today. We're not going to go into like creating videos and images and that kind of stuff, because really I feel like as charter captains, you have an iPhone or whatever phone you like, but you have the ability to create images and videos that people want to see, which are real. So doing that kind of stuff is fine, but we really need to do this from a business standpoint. And what I do want to do today, I want to give you a starting point for kind of getting your feet wet with AI. This will be especially helpful if you've been sort of putting it off, not dealing with it at all. I want to help you get an understanding of key terminology. I'm definitely going to show you in this case how you can use AI to make your marketing easier. I'm going to show you some specific things you can do to implement it to start booking more trips. And I've got some free stuff for you as well. So we're going to go through all this together. But first, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Andre Savoy. I'm the founder here at Saltwater Marketing. I've run an agency for almost 20 years. And, I'm somewhat like you in the charter space that have been at it for a while. You feel like you've learned some things and you have some experience that counts for a lot. But every time something new comes around, you kind of take a little bit of a wait and see approach. You're like, well, I don't know. And as marketers, we were getting really good results and doing a really good job for people. So when AI started coming in, we were like, we don't need this. We're doing just fine. But what happened is, and this is what I want to suggest to you, is that if you're not using AI, or if you're not comfortable with it yet, here's the starting point. And it's the same thing that I did. So I'm speaking from experience here. Pick something in your personal life that you want to learn about. Okay. Don't do it about work. Okay. I can't emphasize that enough. Don't bring work into it. Just do it for something personal. So, if you watch football, if you have a hobby, you're cooking, if you're trying to, I don't know, do anything you're interested in, get ChatGPT, put it on your phone and create a little project. It's very simple to do. You can do it. All this is free. And then just start talking to it, right? Because what I did, I'll tell you what changed things for me is that I started, I listened to this podcast by Andrew Huberman about, having longevity, right? Living a longer life. And one of the things that they talked about was heavy sugar and carbs. Well, this is my whole diet. So even though I'm pretty fit, so I got motivated right then and there. I was going to go on the keto plan. Well, I would never have tried this on my own before because it would have taken hours of Googling, researching, reading, probably in my case, order a book that I was never going to read. So what I did was I said, forget it. I'm going to use Chat GPT. So I pulled it up on my phone, just started talking to it. And what was cool is that not only did it give me a lot of really good information right away, but what the most interesting part of it is that it began to learn. So it would initially tell me, it's like, okay, great. If you want to go on keto, eat lots of coconut flakes and beef jerky and pork rinds. And I'm like, I hate that stuff. I will never eat that. So ChatGPT remembered that. So what happened is I'd get into the grocery store and say, hey, I'm going grocery shopping, help me out. And it would spit out some things based on that. And this is a typical kind of response it would give me when I would pick the chat back up at some point. It would go, okay, I remember that you don't like this and that and what you're trying to do. So let me give you a grocery list or this or that. And I would use it like if I went into a Mexican restaurant. I walk into the Mexican restaurant and say, hey, about to walk into a Mexican restaurant. What should I do to make this a keto meal? And it would go, okay, quick. Don't eat the chips, right? So no chips, and order fajitas with no wraps, right? No corn, no flour, no nothing, but just have the fajitas with extra guacamole. It's like, wow, this is brilliant. Like I would have had to do a ton of work to get that information before, especially that level of customized information for me. And it was right there at my fingertips and gave it to me in less than 10 seconds. And so picking this as a personal starting point gave me all kind of different insights into how it worked and what it could do and how I might use it. And this would have been a whole different deal if I was looking at this from a business standpoint, because it would have been part of work, would have had expectations or whatnot. So this kind of allowed me to just discover what it was about. And so why I'm suggesting you start with Chat GPT, and especially sticking on your phone, is that Chat GPT is the core driver of almost every AI program. So anything you're going to do down the line is going to say, well, great, we're going to integrate with Chat GPT. So you're going to need to just have a good understanding of how it works. I'm not suggesting you have to become a programmer, but just for you to become familiar enough with it to do things, it's what drives things. So you got to understand kind of the basics. And then the bigger issue is that I want you to think about using Chat GPT as a thought assistant. Okay. So most people, and I've seen this, like fire up Chat GPT and say, write social media posts. And those social media posts are terrible because it's not trained. It doesn't know what it's supposed to do. It's just spitting out generic content. And that is not actually its best use. Its best use is to help you think about things, because we're all in a very time-strapped environment. Everybody's busy. Everybody's pulled in 1,000 directions. So if you can use Chat GPT to help you think strategically, that's its best use. So in my case, how can I start thinking about being keto and thinking about different things and doing it at different times of the day when even if I had an employee or an assistant helping me with it, they might not have been available. So I used it as a thought assistant, and that helped me adopt it really quickly. The other thing that's important, you got to understand what AI isn't, and as you start playing with it, you'll quickly see what its limitations are. And that's important because that helps you get out of this is magic thing and start to just appreciate it for what it is, which is a tool. And just like any other tool, it's got its limits and it's got its uses. And then the other piece, and maybe this is the most important piece, is that you get to understand how you train a GPT, right? And because as it gets to know you and as you work with it, it begins to pick up the things that you tell it, okay, always remember this or never do that, right? All those things that make you unique, those things will start to get picked up in the GPT, and that's called training. And that's a really important concept in what we're going to go through here with you today. But learn how to train it through just doing something personally so it'll know what you like and don't like. But getting to know how that works is going to be a big deal. Okay. And so just a little mini challenge here before you, like if you take nothing else away from today, add Chat GPT to your phone, make friends with it, right? Use the voice button, right? Talk to it. Just start telling it what you want to go over and ask it about things, right? Talk to it, ask it for to help you find things, to help you remember things, to help you, understand things. So just talk to it and start understanding what it needs to give you the help and support you need. Okay. So that's a good starting point if you haven't been doing this. Okay. Now, if you have been doing this with Chat GPT and you've already been through this, or once you kind of get a better understanding of this, you'll be ready to kind of move into the next phase, which is using what's called a custom GPT. And we're going to talk a little bit about this. This is one that we built and I'm going to give, you guys access to. And that is, so, a custom GPT is a GPT that's built specifically for one purpose. Okay. So it uses the chat GPT framework, but it's customized for a specific task, right? And so to build a custom GPT, you got to upgrade from the free plan to the plus plan. So it's $20 a month. But these GPTs are trained to sound like you, right? And they have your knowledge, your experience, they have your facts about what you do, what you sell. And then they're usually trained to do specific tasks, right? So, one GPT can't run your whole business, but one GPT can help handle marketing or can help handle bookings or can help handle other things. So the more specific we get with what we ask the GPT to do, the better. And so what I'm going to do is, part of this training, I'm going to give you access to our custom GPT, which is built for clients. It's called Saltwater Marketing GPT Assistant. And it's basically built with our knowledge bank, with all the stuff that we do. And you can use it, right? If you want to write pages for your content, for your website, if you want to write a fishing report, if you just want some advice, if you want to kind of outline a new website, any of that stuff that you want to do, you can get in there and just talk to it. And it'll be like talking to me or somebody on the team, because it has 20 or 25 training modules that we've done from our advanced classes. It's got all of that. It's got a year's worth of us talking to it, giving it advice, refining all that stuff. It's got everything in there. So it'd be like talking to one of us. So you're going to get access to that at no charge. And I want to encourage you to play around with it. And just part of our free bonus, if you're interested in doing this for your business and having a custom GPT, I'm going to have a limited number of these we're going to do. But if you'd like to have one, send us an email or a text back and say, hey, I want a custom chat GPT built for us. We've been building these for clients upon request, and the clients, I just had one, client in the Northwest, and he told me he couldn't believe how much it changed his understanding of this, and he couldn't believe how much value he got from it. He said he was able to tackle a lot of things he had always kind of wondered about. And the cool thing was he got to do it on his time frame. So rather than having to, sit through a training class and maybe pick up a nugget or get on the phone with me or somebody else and make an appointment, if it's 10 o'clock at night, he's sitting there, he can sit there and type it and ask it and talk to it for 10 minutes and get the advice that he wants. And so that's really the benefit of doing it this way, is to kind of empower you to get that stuff at your fingertips. And, that's why this technology is important to do. The other extension to this is that, we talked about building GPTs for specific use. We've actually built one to kind of tackle those AI search results. And we call it an AI SEO content marketing assistant. So this is another one that we created that, if you want us doing your marketing, we can handle the execution of it for you. But if you wanted to try it out and say, hey, what do I need to do to get better, AI SEO results, you can pop it in here and it can start giving you some specifics for that. So this is another one, we've got access to. This one's reserved for clients. But again, if you're interested, you can have it. But I just trying to give you a sense of what's possible, because like a general content marketing assistant is different than like a specific one, which is like, hey, this has got all the framework and nuts and bolts it needs to go do SEO stuff. Okay. So these are all the tools that you can use GPT for to make your marketing easier. But I know a lot of you here is because you want to learn how to book more trips with AI. And I'll give you a quick story. So I guess about 3 years ago, I was on the boat with Jorda, who's my cousin. He runs Premier Bow Fishing. And, airboats are loud if you've never been on one. And we were putting out away from the dock, and Jorda's phone rang. And he said it as soon as saw the phone number. He goes, oh, crap, it's an out-of-town number. This is definitely a lead. So he answered the phone, tried to hear the guy over the airboat noise, and with one bar on his phone, because we're pulling away from from the dock and the marsh. And I hear him try and talk to the guy, and the guy hangs up, and he goes, damn it. He goes, he was definitely calling for a trip. He's from Jacksonville. He's coming to the area, but I couldn't hear him, couldn't understand him. I told him I'd call him back later, but it's going to be tomorrow because he's going out on the boat. So, and he told me the next day, he goes, I know I lost that trip. And sure enough, he told me the next day the guy had, a friend had booked with somebody else and called him and said, oh, the guy talked to you, said you couldn't take him. So that's $800, $1,200 in lost revenue right there from one trip. And, on top of all that, Jordan's on the boat with 6 people, so he really doesn't need to be answering the phone to talk to a client anywhere. But that's the reality for a lot of you, is that you feel like you have to answer the phone or respond to stuff yourself unless you have a larger team that's handling this for you, or a call center or something. But the reality is you're missing opportunities every time you don't get back to somebody quickly, or God forbid, if you're still in a situation where you want to call everybody back, because I tell you, we're getting ready to hit 2026. People don't want to talk on the phone anymore. Everybody's too busy, and the reality is that what we have seen, this is a really impactful graphic. So what we have seen is that the longer it takes for you to get back to somebody, the lower the chance it is that you're going to get them as a customer. So you can see this is a very jarring statistic. So speed to lead is what we call it in the techie side. And that means that, if somebody's in buying mode and they're on charter websites and they're looking around and they get to yours and they have a question, are they going to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour for you to get back to them, for you to then, get them the information that they need? Would you, look at your own consumer behavior. Are you willing to wait minutes, hours, a day for somebody to get back to you for something, if it's something that you can readily get somewhere else? Because very few of you are in a space where you're the only one of your kind that offers that sort of experience in your area. So if you're not, somebody can easily get what they need from somebody else and you're not available, or your team isn't available, there's a good chance they go somewhere else. And so this is really where you can use AI to start making money quickly, because every phone call, every SMS, every email, every social message, all that stuff that comes in can be responded to immediately by the AI. And, unless you just love answering the same questions over and over again, there's kind of no reason not to do this, because you can let AI get back to your leads instantly, right? Instead of waiting. They can handle all the repetitive questions. So anything that you answer over and over again, anything that's on your website, any information about trips, anything about seasonality, that can all get trained in. And so if you remember, that's why we talked about custom GPTs, giving it all the information about your business so that when it responds, it sounds like it's coming from you. That is the beauty of how this technology works and when it works well, right? And then at the end of the day, the AI basically has two directives, right? Either get them to reserve a date, book a trip, whatever your objective is, or if they still have questions and they're still on the fence, say, great, Captain's unavailable. Let me grab your information so I can have him get back to you. And at that point, though, they have engaged with you. They have gotten some of their initial questions answered, and they do feel better than maybe about waiting than just simply leaving a message on a random website. So that instant response is going to give you that lift that you need to where you start booking more trips just based on whatever you're doing right now, marketing wise, before you even do anything else, because it's going to capitalize on more of those missed opportunities, and just kind of show you a little bit of how it works. So, we put an SMS widget on your website. If you've already got one through us, this will work with it. If you don't have one, it starts with an SMS widget. You can connect your social media accounts. You can connect your inbox. And if you want, like if you don't want to have your phone responsible anymore, we can put a phone number on the website, and that phone number can go to the AI agent as well. So you have that option. You don't have to do the phone system if you're nervous about that. But my point is as much activity as you want to go into the agent, you can do that, right? So we direct them in there, and then from there, it takes over and it creates a record in your database. So again, unlike if you got a call on your phone and they didn't book, well, you may not ever remember to put them in your database, assuming you even have one, right? So in this case, that contact automatically gets created as a record in your database, and you can come back like at any point the agent starts responding, you can see the whole conversation thread. So you get a record of what happened because, it's happening on paper. And this is just an example here, like, our demo account's a Tampa Bay charter site that we set up just for fun. But, like in this case, testing it out, have a question about grouper trips. It's like, great. Do you want information on pricing, what's included, or what to expect? Let me know. So this is a big thing, grouper trips, are they year round, right? So that's a big question we get. And you can see the conversational nature of the bot. Yep. Instead of yes, it is, right? Yep. A nice short, punchy response. We target grouper year round on our nearshore trips. If you want to lock a date, use the book a trip button on the website. Nice and simple. Then another typical question. Well, is it just a deposit to book? And is that refundable, right? It's a typical question you're going to go. Again, yep. It's just a $200 deposit to book, and it's refundable if you cancel. Want to grab a date while they're open. That's a nice little, hey, dates go fast. Now, this is the part, like, don't get hung up on what this deposit is and what this cancellation policy is. It doesn't matter. This is a demo account that we created. We just popped this in here. Whatever your deposits rules are and your cancellation rules would go in here. And that way the AI would respond appropriately, right? So I'm not telling you you have to change that, but that's part of why we customize this for everything. And so at the end of the question here, want to grab a date? It says, yeah, how do I do that? Just head on to the website. You remember, it'll say head to the website because this is a conversation taking place on text message, right? Head to the website, hit the book a trip button, and it'll give you the link if you want to. Pick your date, pay the deposit. Let me know if you need help. Nice and simple. Again, at that point, you've got a contact record. You've got everything in here. The system can come back and follow up with them if they didn't do anything later. Like if it can go back and say, hey, we saw you didn't book a trip. Did you want to do that? So all that's part of it, but it's all done for you, right? And you could have been out on the water fishing. You could have been busy. You could have been at your kid's event. You could have been doing something. You could have been on the phone with another client. Who knows, right? So it could be anything that happened, but this all happens in the background for you to run. Okay. And that's how you can use AI to book more trips, is through technology like this. Now, the other thing you could be using AI for, and should be a benefit to everybody on the call, is to get more reviews. Because, the minute you send somebody out on the water, if they have a great time, you really want to be sending them a link within 24 hours, thanking them for coming on the trip and asking them not only to leave a review, but to leave a review of their 5-star experience. You want to prompt them to give you a 5-star review, not a 4-star review. So, this system will integrate with, like, after they've booked the trip, then, within 24 hours, they get this automatic response. And then again, the system will text them a couple of times if they don't respond to say, hey, would you mind leaving the review? But I mean, if you could automatically get reviews out of every customer that you bring on the boat, you'd be in a massive amount of reviews getting built, again, without you having to remember to do it every single time. So, and then the AI can also thank them for their review. Like if they send a review, we can type up thank you responses. And again, using the customization that we learned from kind of building that knowledge bank so that the reviews sound like they came from you and not from an AI system. And really that's how, I'm suggesting going into 2026, if you want to use AI and start using it to build your business, start with, the easy stuff, just getting comfortable with ChatGPT, and then use it, make marketing easier by getting one trained for your business. Make sure that you're never missing leads, that, SMS and voice follow-up are happening instantly. You're getting trips booked and building more reviews. And, you can do this. It's going to take a ton of time off your plate and give you almost immediate lift in what you're seeing in terms of bookings, revenue, opportunities, reviews, which are just like the most important thing, I think, at this point for captains to do. And, we're calling it the Get Booked AI system, as part of our Get Booked plan, but that's, really how you can use that everything together in one spot. So, and if you're feeling that this is kind of overwhelming, like the AI stuff, all I can tell you is just don't give up, because get comfortable with it at the level you're comfortable with it. Start with personal stuff and don't let it get away from you, because I think the longer you let this go, the more harder it's going to be to kind of catch up, because the reality is people are sort of early adopting in this, and those people are going to have an advantage because they are saving money, they are making more money, they are looking cooler to their customers and giving their customers what they want, and they are growing their businesses. So don't give up and don't get frustrated. Now, if you want the free stuff that I mentioned in here, the links to our GPTs that you can test and play with and use, just let us know. And then if you would like us to build a custom GPT for your business, send me an email or a text message. Again, that's available upon request. We'll build one for you at no charge. You own it. And then if you're interested in the AI booking system, that starts at just $95 a month. So it's super affordable, pays for itself really quickly, and is easy to execute and set up. And it's not a ton of management on your part. So anyway, and if you're interested in the advanced SEO plan, that's kind of a per discussion thing. Again, we have a bot for that, but like, some of our larger clients have us doing that. It's kind of a TBD package, but if you'd like our help, reach out, let us know. But my hope for you is that, you take this and use it and start getting that kind of first steps or incremental growth that you need by kind of leveraging these tools, because they've frankly gotten too easy and too affordable not to. Okay. So we'll hope to see you on the other side, and have a great rest of your day.